Production. My name is Chloe. I kind of do the back end stuff for Discover Sci-Fi, and we've been doing all sorts of marketing efforts, and we have over 30,000 likes on Facebook now, so that's why we're doing this on Facebook. Yay! And we have an even bigger email list, so you might have just got an email from us with our weekly deals, which also said to come over to Facebook to join us for an interview with Bobby Adair. And that's where we are now. So welcome. Thank you for taking the time. And we've been working together for 10 months, 11 months.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 15 minutes trying to get this to work.
Also, we've been working on this for 15 minutes trying to get it to work. But
yes,
you
started probably
DSF.
10, 12 months. So.
Yeah. And you were one of the main DSFers at the beginning?
No, I got pulled in later on. I think everybody was all together, and I think they said, well, we asked all of our friends to join. Maybe Bobby will. So anyway, yeah. So I came in, I guess probably just before you did, I think.
Oh, okay. I get a lot of fan love about your books. So
good.
That's always, it makes me smile when I get those, but particularly your Dusty's Diary series makes people laugh from what I hear.
Yeah, that has a small but very faithful following. So,
and today you're kicking this off because you have an ebook launch.
Audiobook
launch.
That's okay.
Freedoms.
Oh shoot! Oh. Sorry about that.
And we're done.
Yeah, no kidding. I pulled on the cord and knocked everything over. There, technical difficulties, folks.
Yeah, so everyone who's joining in so far, welcome. Thank you for joining in. This is the first one, so we're kind of working out the kinks. But we're actually going to be giving away a free copy of Freedom's Fire to one lucky viewer. So anyone who likes or comments during this broadcast, we'll pick someone at the end. Oh, perfect. We've already got a like and a comment.
Oh, cool.
Way to go, guys. So you're entered into that draw, and we'll pick that at the end. So
pick the format you want. I'm doesn't matter to me. We'll go anything.
Perfect.
Except hardback, I guess.
We'll get the email address, and we'll put you guys in contact, and we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
Sweet. So do you want to, so I obviously read all of your guys' bios and put together your book info every week. And when I stumbled across yours for the first time, I laughed and laughed and laughed because the way you wrote it is so, we're talking about the Bobby's Amazon bio. So if you go to Amazon and look up Bobby Adair's bio, it's just hilarious. And so I thought maybe we could talk about that story if you wanted to share.
Oh yeah, sure. There's actually it's kind of a silly story, but it's one of those stories where there's these grains of truth kind of mixed in. But so the thing we were talking about yesterday is that in the fictitious story that I wrote in my bio, I'm actually sitting on a curb in Bangalore. Well, and we just talked about that. I'd been to Bangalore. I was there for a month for business one time. But in the story, this man with dreadlocks comes up to me and says, "You should be a writer," and it's like so kind of this mystical thing. But the weird thing about that was that about 10 years ago, my girlfriend and I, now wife, were at this Mexican restaurant called Chuy's, and anybody from Austin knows Chuy's because Chuy's is freaking great. But the thing is, you have to wait forever if you go at dinner time, you want a table. So we go in, they say the wait's going to be like 45 minutes. So we went to the bar just to kind of chill out and have a drink and wait for our table. So the weird thing is that there were these two guys sitting there, next to these two empty bar stools. And because Kat is one of those people that can make friends with anybody and starts talking to folks. So she does, of course. She starts talking to him, and we don't get too far into the conversation. And the guy with dreadlocks looks at me and says, "You should be a writer." And I said, "What?" Because we talked nothing about that. And the thing is, when I'm with my wife, because she does most of the talking, because it's just one of those relationships, because she's more of an extrovert and I'm an introvert, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so I didn't really say much. I was kind of sitting there being a wallflower, minding my own business, thinking about, whatever I was doing at work. And then he comes across with that, and I was like, how did, it was just a very, very strange thing, because like I've always wanted to be a writer, and I'd written several books by then. I just didn't. It was just a really weird thing, It's like, is he psychic or is he just a really good guesser? So Anyway, but that's where kind of that story came from. So the more dramatic version is the one I put in my Facebook page, the enhanced version.
Yeah, which everyone should go read. So
Yes, everybody should.
so you said you'd already written some books, but were
Yes.
they just sitting on a hard drive, or what was the?
Oh yeah, they were just sitting on a hard drive. As a matter of fact, that kind of leads to another it was interesting to me story. But so I've written probably 3 or 4 books at that point. Went through the publishing process, trying to get somebody to some company to publish them, and all that sort of stuff. And around the time, I'm going to say probably 2012, around the time Kindle was kind of becoming a thing, my hard drive crashed. And but see, the thing is like that sounds like, oh my God, that's terrible. But I had this backup.
Oh, okay.
But the problem was that Kat, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, she set so it was a network attached storage. So she set her computer backups on the same device, but didn't limit the space, so it just consumed everything. So the backups there were all overwritten. So basically, I'd lost everything I'd ever written, and ever. So I got a couple of them back because I'd emailed some to some friends at some point to get their opinions. So those were a couple of books I eventually published, but everything else was just gone. And that was actually the reason I decided to start publishing. So I thought, something, I could let this stuff sit on a hard drive until it disappears forever. I could just publish it and see what happens. Why not?
Why not?
Who knows?
Why
Somebody
not?
might buy something.
And here we are.
And here we are. Yes, here we are.
So with those books that you lost, but that also the situation made you want to self-publish, did you just start from scratch, or did you use the versions that you'd emailed?
Yes, I did that. And the first book I published was called Ace Gonzo. And it was this really silly and fun space opera thing. And it sold about 12 copies. And then I got discouraged because at that time I was like, you put a book up, maybe you sell 1 million copies. And that's because I didn't know anything about the business, right? Except just, I'm going to say, except the writing part. But the truth is I wasn't that good of a writer then, I don't think. Anyway, so then I got discouraged and I was like, well, screw it. I'll just work hard and, at my job and write more software. And about a year later, I decided I shouldn't quit so easily. And I published another of them. And that book sold about 10,000 copies. So I was like, oh, maybe there's hope. So it was sometime shortly after that that Kat and I. So all my stories involve Kat because she's like the beer in all my stories. It's like one time we had this beer and got all drunk, and then
that's a good metaphor. I like that. I hope she appreciates that.
So we were living in Denver at the time, and we were driving up into the mountains, and I was reading this book, and it was actually the second book in a series. I liked the first one a lot, and I was reading the second one, and I was like, my God, this book is crap. I came to this part. There's this huge plot hole, right? And I was like, I can write a better book than that. And then, of course, by this time, we'd been together long enough that she knew I was a writer. So she said, well, why don't you? And I was like, oh, crap. Now I've got to, because she's challenged me, Yeah. So, we went up to Breckenridge for the day and we goofed around and I thought of this story I wanted to write. I went home and I wrote the first chapter, and that was the first chapter in Slow Burn. And I really liked it, and I finished the whole book in probably a month and published it. And anyway, what they say, the rest is history. But yeah, that book, I started out as perma-free, and I gave away a gazillion copies. But anyway, but yeah, that kind of kicked off the whole thing. That series has sold, let's just say, a whole lot of books. So. Yeah.
And so that wasn't the first one that you sold 10,000 copies of. That was a book before Slow Burn.
Yeah, no, that one, the 10,000 copy one was a book called Flying Soup that's not currently available. Okay. Yeah. But that was just, me being kind of very, it was my satire of Politics and Religion in America. And
Okay.
I pulled that book down a couple of years ago because I just thought, politics has gotten so nasty in this country
Yeah.
that I just don't want to be. I don't want to be in that swimming pool getting dunked all the time. So I pull it down and just. As a matter of fact, my computer is sitting on top of 4 copies of Flying Soup on my desk right now.
Nice.
And it might be, I don't know, I think I've got probably 5 or 6 copies here at the house, but they're, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious from my perspective, what do you think changed? Did you end up marketing that a whole bunch, or what changed between no copies and 10,000?
Yeah, marketing.
Marketing,
and
okay.
that was one of the things, like during that year between 12 copies and, selling something, I thought, well, what does a person do to sell books? Because I guess it was basically that. It's like, it was during that year I kind of said, I can't just, if I want to make this work, just waiting for lightning to strike probably isn't a good business plan. That's never worked in anything else I've ever done. So I started learning about the business of the business side of indie writing, and I read all kinds of books, and most of the books were just complete crap. They'd be. But I say that, but the thing is, you might read through 100 or 200 pages of a $3.99 book and get like one good idea, and it's like, oh, that sounds valid, and so that was the approach I took, and probably 8 or 9 months after the second book came out, after the Flying Soup came out, that's when I started. I guess I had heard of podcasts, and I started listening to podcasts, and I was like, oh wait, there's a whole wealth of information out there by guys that are doing this. There's a whole community of people. Oh my God, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it was like initially just books, then it was podcasts, and then it was talking to other authors, and then taking those weird steps of actually contacting other authors and going, hi, you don't know who I am, but
I exist.
yeah, exactly. Can I ask you a question? What are you doing? And that sort of thing. And it turned out most of the people were very receptive, and I got some good friends out of it. And actually, a lot of my friends now I got authors, and they kind of contacted me the same way. It's like they'll message me and go, "Hi, I saw you on the list somewhere, and I just thought I'd see if I could call you and see what's up. What are you doing?" And anyway, so. It turns out quite well. And that's actually eventually how I got here, because I think Nicholas Sainsbury Smith.
I hope he's watching and appreciates it.
So the weird, another just completely stupid thing, because my life is just full of crazy mistakes. But so what happened was, when I published Slow Burn, I think it was 7. It's like. The problem was that what I did was I uploaded the wrong book to Amazon. So it was Slow Burn 7 was going out. I think I uploaded like Slow Burn 2 or something. And then so the people were so rabid, I think, for those books at the time, that I uploaded it, and probably within 20 or 30 minutes somebody's already pinged me on Facebook and said, "Hey, this is the wrong book." And of course then I had a heart attack, because it was
you're already in
book.
Mexico, and you're like launch behind me.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's like I was up the entire night that night, just responding to messages and trying to on the phone and on the chat support with Amazon, trying to get the right version correct, or the correct version up, and that was just this huge fiasco. And so for probably 24 hours we didn't sleep. But out of that, I wound up going through all my Facebook messages to see if I missed anybody. Because the thing was, when people received the book, depending on the settings on their Kindle, it didn't necessarily update to the new version. They had to go in and manually change that depending on the settings. So I'm up all night basically doing tech support with all my readers, trying to help them get the right version of the book, And so when I was doing that, I scrolled back and I found that Nicholas Sainsbury Smith had contacted me like 6 months before, and was like, "Hey, I'm a writer. Can we talk?" And I was like, and I just missed it, because it was just, sometimes there were just so many Facebook messages coming in, I don't catch all of them. So that's how I found Nick. Anyways, I contacted him back to say, "Oh, hey, sorry I missed it. This is what happened. I'm not a jerk. I'm just overwhelmed."
Yeah.
so anyway, we became friends, and actually, I just talked to him on the phone yesterday. So, and then he got me into the Discover Sci-Fi group. So,
Yeah, nice. Full circle. Yeah,
yeah.
you guys are all super nice guys, and all of the stories, I responded to a Craigslist ad.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, because both Matthew Mather and I were living in Montreal, I guess this time last year, and
Yeah.
I had actually seen the posting on Craigslist, and I do that sort of work, and I just said, no, 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 I'm not a sci-fi reader. And then my roommate sent me the posting and said, "This is a job for you." And I was like, if she sent me this job, then I need.
Yeah.
And so Matt and I actually became friends, and he's a really nice guy, and now we're all working together.
And now you basically run the show because you do everything and keep all of us in line. It's like
I juggle a lot of
if it
emails.
wasn't for you, this whole thing wouldn't work.
It's been fun. It's been fun, and no big disasters like the. Actually, there's been a few disasters, but no wrong books going out yet.
Oh, you're right.
So we have a comment, just any new projects in the works for you. And we're just going to mention that today the Freedom's Fury audiobook has been launched.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that book and that series? And if it's...
Well, we could do a quick cheat. I'm going to pick up my phone now and show you my Facebook screen. See if that, does that come through?
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, that's my page. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my computer. Yeah, so that's a project that's in the works.
Okay.
That's actually going to be a cover of an upcoming book. So I'm working with a pretty, I'm gonna go, a very talented artist named Dean. I don't know how to say his last name. It's Samed, Samed.
Samed?
Samed. I should ask him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he took the original photographs. He's putting them into Photoshop and obviously manipulating the images a bit. But that's for a trilogy I have coming out this summer. So that's all the info I have about that right now. And at the moment I'm working on Freedom's Fire 5. I'm actually in the middle of editing and finishing up drafting because I'm trying to get that out at the 1st of March. So.
Whoa, I bet your fans will be happy to hear that. 15 days, countdown is on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The countdown is on. It's like I've already committed to the audiobook company to have it to them by the 1st of March. So it's like now it's public too. So everybody knows I don't have any time to slack.
Yeah, but that's good. I think accountability is good, and well, sometimes I don't know about your writing process, but maybe it's better to just kind of set a date, and make it happen instead of letting it.
Yeah, that sometimes you're absolutely right, and I have that conversation a lot with. There's another a guy named T.W. Piperbrook I've written one of the series with, and we talk about that a lot because he spent a good part of last spring when he finished up. I forget what it was, probably The Ruins. But he's like, I want to give myself some time to kind of think about doing this and doing that. And then probably 3 or 4 months later, he's like, oh crap, I haven't written anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he put one of his books up for pre-sale, which kind of forced him into making sure that he stayed productive and get it done, and then stayed on pre-sales the rest of the year. So sometimes, you gotta find a way to crack the whip on yourself,
Yeah. So that leads into, so you used to do corporate America.
Oh yeah.
Total behind the desk 9 to 5 thing.
Oh yeah, it was awful. It was like hell with a cubicle. So yeah, I wasn't a fan.
And so now what do your days look like?
Oh, I get up and work until midnight and go to bed. Get up, work till midnight, go to bed. It seems like that. I have a bit of a workaholic tendency. I get stuck in these things where it's like I feel like I have to get the next book out and the next book out and the next book out, and sometimes it gets to the point where I'm working 12 or 14 or 16 hours a day, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have a life here. It's like that. It's like that corporate phrase, work-life balance. And so I have a really hard time kind of maintaining that for myself. But I don't know. So yeah, basically, my work day is generally I get up, feed the dogs, because who doesn't? I guess we have dogs because they have to be fed every single day. It's weird. And then I just come into my office here and I get to work. And then at some point I'll go out and jump on my bicycle and ride around the neighborhood and say hello to the neighbors and come back and write some more. And usually in there I'll try to break up my day a little bit, do some reading or whatever, and then in the evenings we usually go have dinner somewhere because we're too lazy generally to cook.
I'm in that camp too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like let me go spend twice as much time getting something to eat than it would for me to cook it myself.
But then someone else cleans. So
there you go. maybe that's the key. Somebody else cleans up. So yeah, and then it's just I either read in the evenings or sometimes I'll watch something on TV if I don't know. If there's something good on, but it seems like there's never anything good on anymore. And now I sound like an old curmudgeon. They don't make TV like they used to. In my day, we had 3 channels.
It's all way better than now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the work-life balance thing, when your job isn't sucking the soul out of you and it's feeding your passions and you feel good about it, and you have a healthy relationship and family and everything, it's probably, I don't think that there's too much of a, I don't think that's a bad thing, even if you're spending 14 hours at your desk writing.
You are now my favorite enabler. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I just think you said you're corporate America. There's a big difference between what you're putting out into the world, I guess.
Yeah. And even going back to the corporate world, I used to write software for a long time. And at first I really, really loved it, and it was like, I can't believe they're paying me for this. I would be doing this on my own, for free. But, it's a pretty good job, but eventually it just got, I don't know. And maybe it's just the whole corporate atmosphere, just, going there and sitting in the cube and going to pointless meetings and listening to people yammer and, all the infighting people trying to get, the credit for something or trying to get that next big raise or whatever. It's like junior high with different stakes, and it's like, I just don't want to play, Yeah. So anyway, the corporate world sucked, at least for me. So
all of our readers, if you need motivation and advice on getting out of that, listeners, you can email Bobby.
Go write a book.
And start writing.
If you write enough books, you'll get good at it. And, and I think that's the thing. It's like with writing, it's, usually when you see some author who's doing well, you think, wow, he just wrote that one book and made it, but it's like, there's all those books on the hard drive under the bed that you never see. Yeah. It's all that practice that goes into it, trying to get good and trying to write a sentence that somebody can actually comprehend,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just for those of you who are tuning in now, just a reminder, if you like or comment on this post, you'll be entered in to win a free copy of Freedom's Fire in any format you like. We'll make a draw after. We'll get your email and we will send you your preferred format.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So just like or comment or share, and all of those will get you an entry, and we'll do the draw after. So, yes. So you're working on Freedom's Fire 5.
Yes.
And when is that going to be launched? March 1st.
Oh, let's not quite say March 1st, but I do like the ambiguity of 1st of March. But I am shooting for March 1st. But if I have to give myself a few days out, I don't want to nail myself down too hard.
And with that series, will that be the last book, or is there a 6,
number
7,
6?
8?
Number 6 is the last.
Number 6 is the last. Okay, so you have that
one will be out in April. So yeah, I know.
You and Daniel Aronson.
No, if I could write as fast as Daniel forever, I'd be like, yeah. But no, I can't keep that pace. Usually what I do is I'll do my 12 and 14-hour days, and then I crash and I'm like, I'm never going to write another word. Well, actually I never say that, but it's just, I get burned out, and it's like, I've got to take some downtime, and usually, unfortunately, my downtime, it turns into eating Doritos and watching Oprah on TV or whatever that was.
Doritos and Oprah.
I'm joking about the Oprah. That's pretty good, but
I'll add that to your bio in the next DSF email.
Doritos and Oprah. Yeah, me and Oprah, we go way back.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me about the audiobook.
Oh gosh.
Do you have anything to share? Are you just happy that?
Oh, you know something? I've actually got a CD.
Oh, cool.
It's like product placement.
Do people have CD players still?
I don't know. I got the book. So the book is being published by Blackstone. So a little box of like 5 of these came in the mail, and I was like,
Oh,
"What the
that's
hell is
nice.
that?" But yeah, so it's like, well, cool. So I'm actually donating some to a local library that
Oh, nice.
actually does these, and I'll probably keep a couple around, and maybe, well, I've got Freedom's Fire 1 as well, so I'll just, if somebody
Nice.
decides that's what they want in the giveaway, I'll just autograph it and send that to them. But yeah, as far as the book, I don't know. What do you say about a book? It's probably one of the overlooked dark horses for Pulitzer Prize.
Okay, okay, okay. Everyone, you're hearing it here for the first time.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I say that in all honesty and modesty, but Greg Tremblay, he's the narrator.
Okay.
He does a great job with these. Anyway, I think he does a great job. He really does takes a story and brings it to another level, which I think is what you want out of an audio narrator. And actually I think Nick Webb's series, the Constitution series as well. So along with a few others you may have heard of. I think he's done some for John Ringo. I might be on crack about that, but I think so. But yeah, he does a great job. So
And he's done the whole series so far?
yes, he's done the whole series, and he's going to. Gosh, I hope he does the whole series. Blackstone's handling it, but yeah, I would be
Okay.
shocked if he didn't. But yes, to my readers who are my audio listeners who listen to Slow Burn and realize that I switched narrators on books 7, 8, and 9. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Both narrators did a great job. I like both of them, and I have to answer questions every 2 or 3 days about what the hell's wrong with you, Bobby? Why did you switch? And
Whoa.
let's just say it seemed like the right thing to do at the time, and we all make mistakes, and I apologize. But that makes it sound so bad because I think Sean Burnett, who does the later books, does a great job with them. I really like his voice, but
Oh.
sorry, I had a phone call come in.
Oh, yeah, I was like, okay, I thought we were going to lose you. Perfect. You're back.
Yeah, but anyway, so no, this time we have the same narrator, so we should be good.
Are you an audiobook listener?
Enough of that. I wasn't until, gosh, probably after Slow Burn 3 or 4 came out. One of the publishers contacted me, and the guy said, "Hey, we'd like to do your book," and I'm like, do people listen to audiobooks? So he and I talked back and forth quite a bit, and I was asking lots and lots and lots of questions because I didn't know anything about it. And at some point he said something like, hey, you asked too many questions, why don't you just go F off and leave me alone? I'm greatly exaggerating, but yeah, I was reading between the lines. That's what it sounded like, and I was like, "Well, that's what I'll do, and I'll just do this all myself because I'm doing well on the ebook market. How hard can it be to sell audiobooks?" It turns out it's a little bit harder, and I probably should have taken the deal that they were offering at the time, but at the time, like I said, what do you do? Just one more mistake. So, nevertheless. I've sold quite a lot of audiobooks of Slow Burn, but if I'd had a publisher with me, I probably wouldn't have made the mistake of switching narrators mid series. but yeah, so at the time, the guy I was talking to had suggested that I listen to one of that company's very popular audiobooks, and I listened to it and I loved it, and I was like, wow, this is great. So yeah, now I listen to audiobooks. I guess I'm always listening to something. I've got something that I'll have, on the phone that I, listen to when I'm driving somewhere or just doing housework or just whatever, So, yeah, I'm not sure an audiobook lover. Gosh, maybe. So.
Well, you were mentioning before we got on this live that you listen to podcasts.
Oh yeah, I started listening to podcasts, and that's one of those things that kind of comes and goes. So right now I'm listening to a lot of science podcasts. Okay. And there's a really interesting one by on history called Hardcore History by Dan Carlin.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Oh,
heard
you've
that one
heard of it?
before. Yeah.
2 thumbs up. Dan
Yeah.
Dan is a very eloquent curmudgeon, um, and he loves the details, and I love that. He did this. Gosh, probably a 4 or 5 part series on like atomic weapons. Probably 20 hours worth of podcast on this one subject. And I thought, and I felt like I learned a lot from it. And I
Yeah.
thought maybe I should take notes so I'm ready for the test. But it was really, really good. So I really like the depth of it. And he seems to have read a lot about the subject, so that he can kind of give you a broad perspective about all of the things that were kind of going on and going on. And I say going on, but he talked a lot about the hows and the whys for things happening, which I find, like I said, really, really interesting. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I recommend Dan. So,
Yeah. That's a good, we'll put it into the comments after for all of our podcast lovers. And this might be totally irrelevant, but I was reading through reviews of your Freedom's Fire series, and someone mentioned something like, I really liked it. I didn't get all the science stuff, but the rest was great. Do you go deep into details in your books, or?
Probably a little. Well, and that's one of those things, right? So there's that review. And if you go a little farther down, I think there's another one that said, I need to lay off the science stuff and just get to the story. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a science dork. So sometimes I get a little bit carried away with it, I think. And
but there must be people who super appreciate it. On the flip side.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you're talking about faster than light travels. There's obviously a lot of theorizing, behind that, right? Because we can't do that. But I talk about a lot about how I think that should happen. Which I'm no Einstein, so this isn't like original stuff. But I'm just taking like a lot of ideas, that I picked up through my reading and kind of putting it into what I think would be kind of a plausible reality. Like every sci-fi writer does.
Yeah. Awesome. Here, anyone who's just joined us, just to repeat it one more time, if you like or comment on this live stream, you'll be entered to win a copy of Freedom's Fire at the end of this stream. I'll draw a random person and we'll get your info and we'll send you whatever version you like.
Yes.
Cool. So, we've got some love notes for you in the comments.
Oh, sweet. With pictures?
Haley says, she said, I've now read 14 of your books and I'm ready to keep at it. It has always been hard for me to choose one author to call my favorite, but Slow Burn sealed it for me. You are hands down my favorite author. Haley, that is so kind of you. Eric says Freedom's Fire was my favorite series, and good to know there's more books on the way, so That's nice. And Heather says, you started my love for dystopian books. I read Slow Burn's books to my teenagers at bedtime until he was 15.
and then you started taking him to therapy about his nightmares. That's so cool. Cool.
And so really nice. Go read those after, because I don't know if it comes up on your end. So thanks, guys, everyone who's come in and left some love.
Yes, thank you.
And I think did you have anything more to share about the series or the release? Or
no, it's, as we talked about, it's a great little thing. Come to the CD if you buy the CD, but beautiful cover, great author. I'm sorry, good enough author, great narrator. Greg, he does a great job with it. I really like his voice. He does a really good job with it. So rock on.
And sorry, you said you got that in the mail from Blackstone. You didn't know what it was. How does that feel every time you open a box and it's got something with your name on it that you've put so much work into?
At first, this is a really nice surprise. I totally didn't expect it. It was like, but I think when you're kind of starting out as an author, and the first time you order some paperback books and they come and you've got your name on it, that is probably the greatest feeling in the world. And it's just like, now that I'm old and jaded, it's kind of like, some more books I need to sign.
Everything has that. Oh man, crazy. Yeah.
Yes, but I can say it feels great if you'd like. Well, the truth is, it does. It's just not like the first time, or the second time, or the 14th time. But at some point, it's like,
And why do you keep does the writing process still have that spark for you, or you just can't imagine doing anything else?
Oh yeah, no, the writing. I love the writing. Most days, I love the writing. There are days when I think I'd really rather just go to the lake. But I think if you're going to do anything that you want to make a living at some point, there are days when you just have to treat it like a job. You just have to. Not that I'm a Starbucks drinker, but you go get your coffee and just sit down and bitch about your boss and then get to work. It's just so there are days like that. And sometimes it might be all week long. Or sometimes but I think it's probably when those days come. Usually it's because I'm writing something that I don't like, and I should really just stop and say, something, these chapters suck. I've gone down a rat hole that nobody's going to like reading. So why am I writing this? I just need to go back in the story a bit and go off in a direction that I enjoy, because if I enjoy it, the readers probably will too. So.
Is that how? Sorry, that's so interesting. Is that how you do it? Like,
yeah,
you just toss out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've tossed out. God, yeah. I'm going to say I've probably put on the scrap bin 20% of everything I've ever written.
And that's a lot of words.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So, and it's just, looking at it and trying to find, and sometimes, if I'm trying to find my way through a story, I tend to get a little wordy and I yammer on. And when I come back and edit, I'm like, wow, it's like I've been saying the same thing on this over and over again in different ways on this whole page. Nobody wants to read that crap. So, and I try to be ruthless when I edit. I just, anything that doesn't look great, not that it is great, but anything that doesn't look great to me, I axe it. So.
And is Kat your first reader, or do you send it to someone else?
Lately,
first?
yeah. No, lately it's me and Kat. Kat's very involved, and we've kind of gotten to the point where I'll write it, I'll edit it, and then I'll send it over to Kat, and then she'll edit it all, and then I get it back, and I usually accept everything she says, because let's just say marriage works better when compromise is 100% what she wants. And then I've got this app on my phone called VoiceStream, and basically it's this little robotic application that reads whatever text file you put in, and the little robotic voices have gotten very good. So it's not awful. It's but actually hearing the words spoken helps me identify missing words, which is a big thing for me, and weirdly phrased sentences. So, and then Kat does the same thing. So we bounce it between us about 4 times before we finish it off. So
you use that app to read your words to you in a sort of semi-robotic voice that's getting better, and then you sit at your computer and listen to the gaps?
I have exactly. Yeah, so I have the headphones on. I'm listening to him read it to me while I have the document open on my computer, and then I just fix things as I go. And and like I said, one of the things that I'm terrible about is just skipping words.
Because you put it in your head.
Exactly. So when you go back and read it, it's like your brain just kind of fills in the missing pieces to make it work, right? Yeah. Which is why editing is so hard. And I mean, and I've gone through, I can't think of how many different versions of trying to find a good way to edit a book. At one point, I think I had maybe, I'm going to say 12, but it couldn't have been that many, but maybe 9 different people on a single book, between editors and proofreaders, trying to catch all the mistakes. And I still had mistakes. I still had typos at the end. And it's like, I think the process we use now it works pretty good. So, and then I always put like a link in the back of the book that says, if you see a typo, go to this webpage and please tell me so I can fix it and upload the book. So,
do you get those very often, or?
No, all the books are perfect. No, we used to get them all the time. It would be like usually the first week the book was out, we'd just be swamped with and there'd usually be 20 or 30 items, but either the readers don't care anymore or we've gotten better. So
let's go with the latter.
Yeah, who knows?
Very cool. It's very interesting to hear. I'm going to be interviewing all 12 of you, I guess,
Yay!
interviewing and then rotating. So I'll hear about all your guys' writing process. But having that app talking to you, I've never heard that before. And that seems like a really useful tool.
Oh yeah, it made a huge difference in the I think the quality, I guess, if you will.
Mhm.
Is as far as typos, but I think for oddly phrased sentences that sound really great. They sound really great when you're thinking them and typing them, but and I think I noticed it after Freedom or after Slow Burn started coming out in audio, when the narrator would actually say something that I'd written, it would just be really weird, um, which is I don't know maybe most I don't know most people or authors think of it in those terms, but I don't know some sentences just sound weird when they're said out loud,
Yeah.
even though they look fine on the page. So I fix those when they come up. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, good call. Okay, so we just have love from the UK. So
yay!
nice. Just for anyone who's joined, if you like or comment, you can enter the giveaway for a free copy of Freedom's Fire. And book 6 is on its way. We've got a new project in the works. I was just going to comment before, the image you showed me looks very different than anything I've seen in
Oh,
kind of
cool.
your what you've produced before.
Yeah, yeah. So it's going to be kind of a military post-apoc sci-fi. I don't know, basically all the crap I like, kind of jammed into one book. So we'll see how it works. So
Awesome. Okay, everyone. So happy you guys joined us. This
yes.
was both Bobby and I, well, I'll speak for myself, very nervous about this initial
Oh yeah,
live,
yeah.
but it's so nice of you to join. And it was really nice talking to you.
Oh, great talking to you too.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up by saying I'm going to put a link in the comments, but if you go to discoverscifi.com/weekly dash deals, I'll put it in the comments, it'll be easier. That's where you're going to find all of our weekly promos, including the audiobook launch of Freedom's Fury, which is out now. And if you're not already subscribed to the Discover Sci-Fi newsletter, you can do that at discoverscifi.com and you'll get 10 free books for subscribing. And then you'll get our weekly newsletter, which will have next week, it'll have a link to this interview, actually. So we'll have all of our interviews so you can keep up to date, and then all of our promos. And then just to finish, the Flames of Rebellion by Jay Allen is on sale this week for $1.99. Universe in Flames by Christian Callias is on sale for 99 cents. And the Complete Circuit Trilogy by Rhett C. Bruno is also 99 cents. So really great deals for those of you who can't get enough sci-fi. Yeah.
Yes. And great titles too. Flames of Rebellion. I like that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have stolen that title first.
Flames of Rebellion.
Oh yes. It's like I'd buy that book.
Yeah, there's sometimes, well, Dusty's Diary, I think the first time I saw that, because I just see what you guys populate and I was like, what? Totally different. No flames, no fire.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Oh, did you see the one with the unicorn? I thought we did that one. That might have been I don't know. But
I
yeah.
love those covers. Was it your concept or did you have an artist come up with them?
Well, I have a graphic designer that I work with a lot on a lot of my covers in Greece. And so it's kind of a collaborative effort between me and Kat and Alex. So we'll kick around ideas and shoot graphics back and forth, and eventually something cool comes out. And those came out. So and they fit the mood of the story really well, because the story is really, if you haven't read Dusty's Diaries, maybe you shouldn't, but but they're a bit crass, hopefully funny, and just very off the wall. So.
It's a good niche to fill, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And more of those will be coming out eventually. I kind of write those when I get in a surly mood at home, and I feel like I can really channel that character. So Kat, that's kind of one of the a safe word if you want. when I grumpy around the house, Kat would be like, "You need to write another Dusty's Diaries," and be like, "Oh," because I think the next phrase is. Act nicer or we're getting divorced.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna go type a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's another thing. Like when you're writing all the time and writing so many different books and series, like it's different. You have to fill certain voids you have on the inside, I guess, too. Or
Yeah, exactly. It's all therapy for us crazy writer people. So whenever we're blowing up the entire world, you should read something into that. It's like people of the planet, behave nicely. You're screwing everything up.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry. Just Haley has commented, Dusty's diary is great. The boyfriend stared at me, real funny with all the laughter while reading.
Oh, great. That's great to hear.
Yeah. So we'll stop in just a second, but anyone, if you want to like and comment and share, you'll get an entry into the draw that I'll do right after this, and I'll get your information and pass it on to Bobby so you can get a free copy of your book.
Yep.
Well, it was really nice speaking with you.
Thank you. It's great talking to you too.
Yeah, you've got an amazing number of series, and I hope everyone will go get your audiobook and get started on Freedom's Fire.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.